Hello and welcome. My name is Tim Moran. Today we continue our deep dive into ISO 14001-2026. Our focus is Clause 7, Support, a section that often determines the ultimate success or failure of an environmental management system. Many organizations invest heavily in planning and leadership, yet they overlook the fundamental support structures required to bring their environmental strategy to life. This clause is not just an administrative checklist, it is the engine room of your EMS, providing the power, people, and processes necessary for effective operation and continual improvement. Without robust support, even the most ambitious environmental objectives remain purely theoretical, unable to withstand the pressures of day-to-day operations or the scrutiny of an audit. In this detailed session, we will dissect each subclause of Clause 7 from an auditor's perspective. We will explore what has changed in 2026, what your organization must implement to comply, and what auditors will be looking for as evidence of conformity. Our key message is simple but critical. Even the best EMS strategy fails without competence, communication, resources, and controlled information. This clause provides the essential operational support framework that underpins the entire system. Understanding this connection is absolutely vital for any EMS manager, auditor, or sustainability professional aiming for a truly effective and resilient system. We will move beyond the text of the standard to provide practical audit tips, highlight common implementation failures, and offer a clear roadmap for compliance. Whether you are building an EMS from scratch, transitioning to the new 2026 standard, or preparing for your next certification audit, this guide will equip you with the knowledge to stop failing Clause 7. These elements are the building blocks of organizational capability and the bedrock of a sustainable, controlled, and audit-ready EMS. We will look at real-world examples of both strong and weak support systems, and discuss the telltale signs auditors look for to distinguish between a paper-based system and a genuinely embedded one. Let's begin our journey into mastering the foundational elements that will make your environmental management system a success. Now let's turn our attention to the purpose of Clause 7 itself. At its core, this clause is designed to ensure an organization has determined and provided all the necessary support to make its EMS work. These 5 elements are grouped for a reason. They are deeply interconnected and mutually dependent. Example: monitoring technology is useless without competent personnel. Example: awareness needs effective communication. Clause 7 determines whether an EMS is sustainable, controlled, and audit-ready. Clause 6, what the organization plans to do. Clause 8, what it has done. Clause 7, how it is able to do it. Let's start with its link to Clause 5, leadership. Top management is responsible for ensuring that the resources needed for the EMS are available. Clause 7.1 is the direct fulfillment of that leadership commitment. When an auditor sees a significant resource gap, it is often flagged not just as a failure of Clause 7.1, but also as a failure of leadership commitment under Clause 5. The connection to Clause 6, planning, is equally critical. For every objective, there must be a corresponding provision of resources. Clause 7.1, competent personnel, Clause 7.2, and clear communication, Clause 7.4, to achieve it. A plan without resources is just a wish. Moving to Clause 8, operation, the link becomes even more direct. Competent personnel, Clause 7.2, are needed to operate equipment correctly and manage waste streams. Finally, consider the link to Clause 9, performance evaluation. To do this reliably, it needs calibrated monitoring equipment, which is a resource under Clause 7.1. It needs competent individuals to collect and analyze data, Clause 7.2. Without the support defined in Clause 7, the data flowing into Clause 9 would be unreliable, making any meaningful performance evaluation or management review impossible. Let's now begin our detailed examination of the subclauses, starting with Clause 7.1, Resources. The standard requires the organization to determine and provide the resources needed for the establishment, implementation, maintenance, and continual improvement of the EMS. Resources include personnel, technology, infrastructure, financial support, monitoring equipment, and external expertise. The anticipated ISO 14001-2026 revision brings a stronger emphasis on adequate environmental resources, technology and data systems, climate-related capability needs, and resource effectiveness. For implementation, organizations should identify resource gaps, allocate EMS budgets, ensure monitoring capability, and provide environmental tools and systems. Auditors will verify resource adequacy, review staffing and capability, and evaluate whether objectives can realistically be achieved. A key audit tip: link resources directly to your environmental objectives and maintain clear evidence of resource planning to demonstrate ongoing support from leadership. Moving on to Clause 7.2, Competence. Organizations must ensure persons are competent based on appropriate education, training, experience, and skills. This applies to all employees, contractors, and even personnel from outsourced activities whose work can affect environmental performance. The 2026 revision has stronger expectations for environmental awareness competence, risk-based competency, and role-specific EMS competency, including climate and sustainability knowledge. For implementation, organizations should define competency matrices, conduct training needs analysis, verify training effectiveness, and maintain competence records. Auditors will interview personnel, verify competence evidence, review training effectiveness, and assess operational understanding. Remember, training attendance alone is not enough. Auditors look for demonstrated competence. Employees must be able to explain their real environmental impacts and controls. Next is Clause 7.3, Awareness. Employees must be aware of the environmental policy, their significant environmental aspects, their contribution to the EMS, and the consequences of nonconformance. The new revision increases focus on operational awareness, stronger employee engagement expectations, and sustainability culture integration. Organizations should conduct awareness campaigns, use toolbox talks, integrate EMS awareness into onboarding, and reinforce it continuously. Auditors will test awareness by interviewing employees directly, testing their policy awareness, and verifying their understanding of environmental impacts. A key tip: weak awareness is memorized statements. Strong awareness is when employees can explain real environmental controls in their own words. We now move to Clause 7.4, Communication. The standard requires a planned approach to communication, determining what to communicate, when, to whom, and how. This covers requirements for both internal and external communication, ensuring consistency and reliability of all environmental information. The 2026 revision brings increased ESG and stakeholder communication expectations, greater transparency requirements, and a stronger emphasis on credible environmental reporting. Organizations should define communication procedures, control external statements, and align sustainability messaging with EMS reality. Auditors will review communication controls, evaluate consistency between practice and reporting, and verify the handling of complaints and inquiries. Auditors are highly alert to the risks of greenwashing, inconsistent messaging, and unsupported environmental claims. Finally, we come to Clause 7.5, Documented Information. This clause covers the requirements for creating, updating, and controlling all EMS documented information, including document control, retention, accessibility, and version control. The new revision reflects the digital age with expectations for digital systems, electronic record integrity, remote accessibility, and data reliability. Organizations should use controlled digital systems, manage document access, and ensure traceability. Auditors will verify version control, check document accessibility, Review record integrity and hunt for uncontrolled documents. Common findings include obsolete procedures in use, missing approvals, uncontrolled forms, and inconsistent records. To summarize the major changes in the 2026 revision, there is a greater focus on competence effectiveness, increased communication transparency, digital document control expectations, stronger sustainability awareness, and a focus on resource adequacy. Clause 7 is evolving from administrative support into organizational capability management. This highlights common implementation failures, generic awareness training, competency records without effectiveness, poor communication controls, uncontrolled documents, resource shortages, and weak contractor competence management. From an auditor's perspective, we assess Clause 7 through personnel interviews, competence sampling, document control verification, awareness testing, and communication evidence reviews. Clause 7 audits are evidence-based and people-focused. We verify actual understanding, operational competence, effective communication, and reliable documentation. Your practical roadmap to success is 1. Assess resource needs. 2. Build competency matrices. 3. Strengthen awareness programs. 4. Improve communication controls. 5. Digitize document management. And 6. Continuously monitor support effectiveness. Our final key message, Clause 7 determines whether your EMS is truly operational, competent, controlled, and sustainable. We encourage you to invest in people, strengthen communication, modernize document systems, and build a culture of environmental competence.